My book buying ban is clearly not going the way I intended it to, so for today's video I have my spring book haul. So hi and welcome back my fellow fantasy book lovers, or if you're new here, hi and welcome. My name is Kathy and I'm a Belgian-based fantasy bookworm. Buying books and reading books are two completely different hobbies and I partake in both of them. For today's video I'm going to go through the pile of books that I've accumulated during the months January, February and March. And I will be doing these hauls sporadically, but definitely not monthly anymore. The first book I want to show you is actually not a book that I purchased, but that I received an ARC for. I was contacted straight through the author Aveline to ask if I wanted to read their book. I agreed to it. I asked for a digital copy so I could read it on my Kobo, but they were also kind enough to send me a physical copy. Now, this is a Master Apprentice Mage lighter fantasy romance is the way that I'm gonna describe it. It is set in an epic world building, so there's orcs, there's like thieves and rogues and stuff, and there's of course magic. Now our main character has magical abilities. She is already training them with her father, who's also a mage, but he cannot teach her everything he knows, or like he's at his limit, so he sends her off to be taught by another mage. And that is where our story takes off, and every elemental mage, because they're elemental mages, have to pass a specific elemental related trial to improve their powers, and that is what we are setting up to do in this book. Now, I have read this book. When I'm showing it to you, it will be part of my February and March reads video, and I really did enjoy it. Now, I gave this book 3 stars out of 5, and the main reason is because you have the two main characters, and while they're adorable and cute and I like them, there is a secondary couple, or like couple, that comes into play near the end of the book, and I love them even more. So I was more interested in what the other two were doing than the two main characters. And I cannot wait, honestly, for more from this series. It is written from a first-person POV, which is not something that I encounter a lot in my fantasy books. Most of the time it's like the third person and then like an overview of everything with conversations. But this is really like, you get to know the characters through their own minds in a book, and I really enjoyed that. So if you're looking for a fantasy-based romance that is very much based on the Master and Apprentice like setup, I can personally very much recommend it, even if it wasn't 100% my cup of tea. The next book on my pile, surprisingly, is also an ARC. This is Stick Around and Find Out. The ARC of this book was the very first ARC that I ever approved and read for my channel, and I really wanted the book, but there was no option to buy it online. So I got it through friends from the author. This holds a special place in my heart. This is the very first ARC that I approved to read, and the very first ARC that was vampire-based, and everything that I love about this book. So if you're looking for a funny vampire-based found family type story, where our main character is obsessed with vampires, wants to be turned into vampires, and she doesn't find anyone to turn her, then she actually goes into this vampire hunter group to find vampires, because that's the logical way. So I loved this book, very highly could recommend it. Up next, another softcover book, and this is the last softcover. The rest of the pile are all hardcovers. Yeah, I don't know much about this book, to be honest. I went into Standard Boekhandel to actually buy Lightfall or The Dark Mirror. I found both Lightfall and The Dark Mirror, and then I also found this book. This book just spoke to me because I saw the side, and then I saw vampires on the cover, and I was like, mine please. This is called A Cruel Thirst by Angela Montoya. Vampires, Ancient Evil and Forbidden Romance. Montoya brings it all. And in the back it says, love is at stake, so sharpen your blade. When I read the back cover of this, it reminded me a little bit of the Romeo and Juliet setup, where you have two younger people from like opposite clans, or from like enemies more or less. And if this is enemies to lovers, I will be surprised, because an actual enemies to lovers is very hard to find. I have not read this book yet. However, April is my vampire month, so maybe in April I will pick it up. I'm trying to make a conscious effort, like that shelf, that top shelf right now is the haul shelf. So whenever I buy books, I put them up there. My goal is to not have to use the hall shelf anymore, so I can use it to put other books on there, because if you look at my other shelves, they're starting to get really full. And I also want to avoid overflowing even more into my other bookcase, because currently I have books that are stacked upon books or like pushed behind other books, and that's not what I want. And I'm just curious to see what this book is like. The next book is a book that I really wanted to buy. If you have seen the releases I'm looking forward to videos, you will have spotted this book. It is Lightfall by Crocker. It is being compared to Empire of the Vampire, and I finished this book a few days ago. It is not like Empire of the Vampire, however, it is still very good. Now, this is book 1 in what is going to be a series of, I believe, 3 books of the Everlands. Now, this book has a lot of world building. You have a class system, there is vampires, there is werewolves, there is other creatures, there is magic. And in this book, I feel like you get a solid setup for what is to happen in the next books. I think I gave it a 3 or 4 stars. Maybe a 4, because I did really like the setup, but I read this extremely slowly because it was so information-packed. So prepare for that when you're reading this. I did really like the main character Sam. As you will read this book, you will know why. Sam is a servant in this world building. She is the lowest class of the vampires. So there's 3 classes: lowest class, servants, and then you have like the middle class, which is like the normal folk, and then you have the upper class, which is like the people she serves, basically. And there's different types of blood that they drink, so depending on the blood, you might have different abilities. So the lowest blood is cow's blood, and only like the servants, the lowest class, or the warrens, I think they're called, they get that lowest blood, and all the others drink like fox and deer, and wolf blood is like the top of the top. When you drink wolf blood, you gain special abilities, etc. Now, there's also magic blood, but you will encounter that in this book. If you're into vampires, and if you want not your typical vampire book, I think this will be for you. But I will talk more in depth about this book very soon, because I want to make a full video about this, because I feel like this is a really great setup for more. I could not get the bone season. When this book released, I was in the city center of Ghent. I got into the bookshop, not knowing if they would have the hardcover special edition. They had, I bought it. What else can I say? It's going to fit nicely with other Samantha Shannon books that I already own. I need to catch up on the series. I read book 1, 2, and 3. But I haven't read the revised editions yet, so I will somewhere in the near future try and start reading the revised editions. And once I get restarted on this series, I can just keep on reading if I want, because now there's 5 books and of course the prequel, The Pale Dreamer. The next book is a pre-order that I forgot I had placed, and in the meantime I had already purchased the second-hand Owl Crate edition. It is Immortal Dark by Tigest Girma. I hope to read this book in April, and once I've read it in April, I will decide if I want to keep 2 copies of it, if it's like an exceptionally good book. If not, I'm pretty sure I will be selling this Fairy Loot edition, because for me, aesthetically, I prefer the Owl Crate one. But that's, of course, just personal preference. It literally arrived to me. I put it on my shelves. I haven't touched it since. And the inside of the book, funny enough, is like if you were to borrow a library book, like the front of here, and then at the back it also has a note that is probably related, or that is of course related to the book itself. So the Fairy Loot edition of Immortal Dark, I had completely forgotten that I ordered it. Whoops. The second to last book is a book that I knew I wanted to read. I knew I wanted a matching copy on the series that I already have. It is the 3rd Emily Wilde book. It is called Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales. At this point I haven't read it yet, but it feels like a very spring-themed book, like if you look at the cover and the colors. And fun fact, I asked one of my coworkers who goes to the UK very often to look for this book for me, and he was like, "Do you really want a pink book?" Like sending me a text message over it. I was like, yes, I know it's a pink book. He wasn't expecting that from me. I think my colleagues think I only read like dark fantasy, but yeah, I like fairies as well, and Emily Wilde is definitely one of the series that I want to continue. And I am not sure if this is the final part in the Emily Wilde series, if there's going to be more books, but honestly, I think this is very pretty. And then the last book is actually a book that I got gifted by my partner. This was a book that he actually ordered for the holidays and it got delayed and he forgot about it until suddenly it arrived at our door. It is All the Devils by Catelyn Wilson. This year, the students at Ravenwood will be raising hell. Hell is empty and all the devils are at Ravenswood Academy. I think this is a dark academia book, if I'm not mistaken. I had a very big list of books that I potentially wanted for the holidays, and I kind of half forgot what this was about. But I do like academia books sometimes, so I hope this will be a good one. And of course, once I've read it, I will keep you updated. So these are all the books that I've accumulated over the past 2 months. In April, I have my birthday and my wish list is filled with books since I am personally on a book buying ban. I am still buying way too many books. I am not reading fast enough to catch up to the amount of books that is coming in, and it is an issue. Maybe I should look into getting an extra bookshelf, or maybe like moving some things from these bookshelves that are not books to another space. I don't know yet what I'm gonna do. I'm considering maybe replacing this drawer thing with an actual bookshelf so I can put books up as well as having stuff at the bottom. I'm not sure yet what I'm gonna do, but once I do it, you will see it, of course. Feel free to let me know if you've read one or more of these books, what did you think about them, and if you have any new purchases that you want to share with me, feel free to do so in a comment as well. Give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and if you haven't already and you'd like to be, feel free to subscribe to my channel. I'm going to try to make weekly videos again, and I would love to have you for every single one of them. Thank you so much for watching and happy reading. Bye!